7 months ago, we moved out of the hustle and bustle of the city out to the vast, quiet, peaceful country. We found a beautiful property with a double wide manufactured home on it, and we saw endless possibilities with the property and the home itself. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you all of the progress that we've made in the last 7 months here at our home and on our property. Now looking back at the home, I'm so glad that we had the vision that we did because it's undergone such a huge transformation. I can't believe that it's only been 7 short months that we've been here and we've been able to accomplish as much as we have. I'm so grateful to my family for helping us with so many different projects here on the property. That leads me into the first thing that we did when we purchased the home and the property is we painted the main rooms. So we painted the entryway, we painted the living room, dining area, and master bedroom. And my aunt came along, my mom and my sister, and we all did like a paint party and painted all of those rooms a beautiful warm white color. And I'm so happy with that because it just transformed the space so much. Now looking back, honestly, it made a huge difference. And I'm gonna take you all room by room so that we can see the small changes that I've made thus far. We still have a lot more progress that I wanna make. There's still definitely more things that I would like to change in the future, but little by little, we are making this house and our property feel like our home. So starting in the entryway, of course, we painted it and I changed out the sconce that was in the house originally to this beautiful bronze sconce that I absolutely love in the area. I put our entryway table that we had at our previous home and it fit perfectly in this space. Of course, adding some decor to it totally transformed the space and made it feel warm and welcoming. The living room and dining room had some really awful dark brown walls and they were not looking good for the space. It was making the space feel much darker, smaller, and almost cave-like. So once we painted these rooms the warm white color, it totally transformed the space and made everything feel so much cleaner and larger. In the living room, we also changed out the light fixture to something more modern. And as I stepped back and looked at the fireplace, I didn't really like the way that it looked, so I wanted to change it to match our style a little bit better. So I went ahead and painted it a tan color and added a gray paint to the grout. And I really like how this whole space came together. After moving in, I felt like the dining area just needed a little more of a pop, so I decided to do some wainscoting on the walls, which I was very excited about because I had always wanted to do wainscoting somewhere in our future home, and I'm so glad I got to do it in the dining area. It definitely transformed the space. It made the space feel so much bigger, and it really gave it a sophisticated look, especially with the new chandelier that we added to the space. So now moving on to the outside of the property, there were so many animal pens and different fencing and just a lot of different things going on this property. There was also 3 sheds. So we just saw a lot of potential and ways that we could reuse things. And that's exactly what we ended up doing. So one of the first things that we did outside was clean up the space. The backyard itself had a lot of different stuff going on back there, just I guess different fencing and pens that they had for animals that they had right outside of the back door. So there was a lot that we needed to clean up back there. My husband went and rented a skid steer and he cleaned up most of the backyard, and I was able to help him after we painted the inside of the house. We took a lot of fencing down and just kind of moved it out of the way for now, just to have a clean slate. So the last thing left out here was this shed that's next to this other little dilapidated shed. The dilapidated one is our water well tank shed, and the other shed, hubby and I had a vision to make this my she shed where I could store my seasonal decor, and I could also make this an office. However, as you can tell, it was totally disastrous in here. The previous owners did have rabbits and a dog that they kept in here, so it was very, very messy in here. So the first thing that we did was start out by cleaning it. And once it was cleaned, it was time to get it moved into a better position so that it would look nice in our future backyard. So I'm so grateful that my family came over, and my dad and my husband working together were able to move that shed, and were able to move another shed on our property as well, and able to put them in positions that worked better for us and for our vision for our backyard. This shed on this side of the house, we also wanted to move so it would be closer to the house. This is going to be my hubby's storage shed or office or whatever he wants to turn it into. The back of the shed was full of just more stuff. There was wood, there was a cast iron heater stove back there, there was a bike, all sorts of stuff back there. So my mom and I cleaned back there while the guys were moving the other shed, and then they worked to move this shed so that it was in position exactly where we wanted it. So during the process of all of this, there was one night when my husband and I were driving home, and it was a dark night. There was no moon out, so it was super dark. Back on these country roads, there are really no lights on the roads. So it was really hard to see other than our headlights. And my husband ended up slamming on the brakes at one point, and I wasn't really paying attention. So I was like, what's going on? And he ended up saying that there was a dog in the road, and I looked out the window, and sure enough, there was a dog in the road. And I don't know what got into me. I did see headlights coming. They were far away, but I saw them coming our way. So I freaked out, jumped out of the truck, and I picked this little scared dog up. I grabbed her up and I got back in the truck, sat her on my lap, and my husband was like, what are you doing? What are we gonna do? Like with this dog, what's gonna happen? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess we're gonna find her home. I just knew that this dog literally stopped right in front of us, and had he not slammed on the brakes, he would have hit the dog. So I just figured somebody else is probably gonna hit this dog if I don't get the dog. So got the dog home. She was the sweetest thing, although she did get sprayed by a skunk. So she was a little bit stinky, but we got her home. We tried to look for owners for her. We even took her to the vet to see if she had a microchip, and she didn't. So we ended up deciding that we were going to keep her. However, we do have, or did have, 3 dogs at the time. So it was one of those things where we had to give her a trial run and make sure that the dogs that we already had were going to get along with her, and she was going to get along with them. And sure enough, things turned out as perfectly as they possibly could, and she ended up fitting in just perfectly to our family. And actually our princess Sasha, who was the first dog that we got, she's like my princess, I should say, and her became the best of friends. So I'll insert some footage here of them wrestling and playing, and now we are a household of 4 dogs. So back to all of the work that we were doing on the property, we did know that we wanted to have our house fenced in. We wanted to have a front yard and a backyard. And also we did have some birds that were left on the property by the previous owners. We did have some chickens and some turkeys that were left, but they were pretty far away from our actual house. They were back where we have another shed that's closer to the end of our property, but they were far from our house. And unfortunately, we did not know how to care for birds at all. However, my sister and I did try to build them a safer enclosure than what they were left in. So we thought they were as safe as possible. I would go out there and feed them and give them water every day, and they did give us some eggs. So it was a really beautiful experience to have those birds. However, unfortunately, we do have a decent amount of land out here, and there are wild animals that roam the area. Obviously, wild animals were here before humans were here, so there were some coyotes that would run through our property, and I think that the coyotes got to the birds. One day I went out there and there were just no more birds left. All there was feathers and things like that. So unfortunately, the birds that we inherited did get taken, but that made us think that we definitely needed to get on making a front and backyard fenced in for our dogs so that they're safer and we don't have to worry when they go outside. So we started to work on putting a front and backyard fence up. Hubby rented the skid steer again, and this time he got an auger attachment on it, and we made holes for all of the fence posts with the auger, which was honestly a huge help. We have a lot of clay out here, so using the auger was definitely necessary. If we would have done it by hand, this would have taken us way more than the 7 months that we've been here. After we made all of those holes, we then got some cattle panel that was left on the property. So we reused one of the things that was here on the property already, and we used cattle panel to make our fence. And I think it turned out really beautiful. And now I see all of the potential in our backyard. I can't wait to have grass and to landscape. So that's one of our goals now, is that we want to landscape the front and the backyard. Not all of it is going to be grass, but we do want a good amount of grass for the dogs and just for us. And also we are going to have a garden. Like I had told you all, I wanted to put a garden in front of my shed. So I currently have seedlings growing inside, and my plan is to make some raised beds that are going to go in front of the shed. And I can't wait for that. I can't wait to plant all of my seedlings outside. We're also going to redo the watershed that's out there. I don't know why it's in the area that it's in. It's not our favorite place in the yard. I wish that it wasn't even in the yard, but unfortunately that's where it is. So we're just gonna work with what we have, and we're gonna try to make a really cute cottagey looking shed out there, and then I'm probably gonna decorate it just so that it gives the backyard a little bit of a whimsical flair. So that's definitely another project that we have in mind, as well as so many other projects that we want to do inside and outside. We have a lot more of the property to clean. There is a shed that's further out, the one where the chickens and the turkeys were. That one is pretty far out from our home, so we're planning on moving it closer to our house. And also eventually we would like to have animals, but we will not be getting animals until we have the time to build them safe enclosures so that we know that no animal or predator can get to them, or at least it would be very, very hard for predators to get to them. So that's another goal that we have for the future. Altogether, there is so many more things that we can't wait to do. We definitely want to pull out all of the carpet in the house, and we want to put new flooring. We want to redo the kitchen. That is why we didn't even paint the kitchen right now, because we need to just evaluate the cabinets and the countertops because some of them are sagging pretty bad. So that's definitely going to be a big undertaking that hopefully we will do this year. But we have a lot more projects that we're going to be getting into this year, and also just making the home feel cozy where we're at right now. Right now, it's not perfect. It's not exactly what we want it to be, but we still need it to feel cozy and comfy for us and just homey for us. So I'll definitely still be decorating and sharing that with y'all. And of course, all of the projects that we have, I'll also be sharing with y'all. So if you're interested in seeing that kind of stuff, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like this video, leave me a like down below, and I will see you all in the next video. And I totally forgot to mention that we also do have a pecan orchard on the property. We have about 6 pecan trees back here and a fig tree that you can see right there in the middle. This was so overgrown with tall grass and just weeds, so we set out to clean this area as well. And we wanted to use a brush hog. It would have been so much easier to do that, but we couldn't find one to rent anywhere around us. So we had to do it the old-fashioned way with a weed eater and a trimmer, and we went crazy cleaning this area out. Now it's nice and clean and it's ready for the springtime. I can't wait to start to see the leaves on these trees. I will definitely show you guys once springtime hits out here.